Energy has survived a lot in the past on the back of adapting, and certainly working out this split, or rather this LAN as well. Energy find themselves with about 2-3 wins so far, up on the top of group stages, and elevate number 2.
Looking very pretty right now. They won't face until the last match, I believe, tomorrow. So it doesn't really matter. As long as Energy gets that magic sweet spot number 4, I think they're going to be automatically qualified for HRX.
Elevate, however, looking for their 3rd win as we go into the next matchup, Elevate versus Noble. Noble is a team that I think surprised a lot of people in the fall split. Even in, I do my sort of my fun SPL Happen recaps, and, I kind of poked fun saying, like, they played the best game ever, and they still wound up losing. Well, that's the case. Their L column is a little bit bigger than their W column, but if you watch the games, certainly very, very different.
Absolutely. Their match against Energy was just so impactful here. Against Trifecta, not the same kind of oomph that you would normally expect considering the way they played in that first game, but I think that there's still an opportunity for Noble to play upset, so no team here in the group play should count out Noble yet.
And not quite. They know what they're doing. Like, they're not a team that is clueless. They just have some problems. They have flaws. If they fix these little flaws, they get their early game down just right, they can win late game. Moswal has proven time and time again that he can hit these game-changing mage ults.
Yeah, Moswal has really stepped up, and Skeeledon, previously an inconsistent player, has become a little bit more consistent. You can kind of depend on him a little bit, and having Whalrus over there in the solo lane is really, really strong. I'm going to ask you the same thing that I asked you about Energy, but you know this team a little bit better because you got to play against them. What do you think changed? Because they're a much different team than they used to be.
Yeah, this team I think got better for sure. I still think they have their growing pains. They're still like meshing together. It's taking some time.
Agreed.
But Skilly's gotten much more consistent. His god pool has widened. And I'm going to be looking at him to carry the game through the early and mid. It's all on Skilly.
Skilly has been, honestly, it's funny. Going back to when Adonis was up here, he and I just sat here going like, look, Skeeledon is that good. Like, we've seen him be that good. And unfortunately, the story for years has been, all right, well, where is it? Why can't we actually see it? And I feel like the fall split, we finally got to see it. Stepping into that coach role, though, Coach Slaney, we had him on the broadcast a little while ago, yesterday, and he seems to have really changed his team as well.
Yeah, changing the way the picks and bans goes, because I think the match against Energy, they normally, as a team, wherever there's Wubbn and Wowy, Wubbn's pick is usually that first pick role, normally Athena, maybe even Ganesha during the online portion, but that time around, against Energy, not going for that option. They picked the Osiris, the Circuit option, trying to get a strong jungle solo synergy, going away from their traditional style. Didn't really work out for them in the early game anyway, considering how powerful Energy's 2v2 was as well. But that's something that they're willing to kind of experiment with and take it the most extreme level here at Super Regionals.
Yeah, Slaney, another one of the coaches coming from cross-region. Slaney over from the UK. So another one, we've got Biggie that's representing Australia for Dignitas, and Quintosh from Germany, right?
Yeah, he is from Germany. He's our little European, yeah.
Tell me the truth. You have him to spy on every other European team.
No, he spies for other teams. He takes our strats and tells people. Loose Lips Quinn, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why we keep him around. Keep selling our strats.
Well, I mean, it's clearly working. You guys find yourselves in the finals tomorrow, or on Sunday, rather. So something's working out there. Just like it is for Noble, like I said. Slaney really bringing out the picks and bans, really been impressed right there. Elevate, however, also find themselves with a new coach. Coach Dazer, a dude that's been around the scene for a minute or two. And Dazer has gone from sort of a nice little redhead kid to now he kind of looks like a Bond villain, and he's out looking for blood. I call him Dazer the Gray. And there he is right there, just kind of like being angry next to Cherryo.
It just works out well for the style that Elevate really like. I think more of what Dazer does is helps him for the bans necessarily than the picks, because not much has changed for Elevate's picks. They still run the Triple Guardian, the Double Hunter, even with Dazer behind the scenes, but they're banning their match earlier on here against Space Station. Banning away that Bakasura was also very important.
Those are the shorts. Those are the shorts. Hindu and I were talking about the shorts. He's got these floral shorts. The power is in the shorts. And dead serious. That's a real piece of Smite analysis that's on my list of notes here. But yeah, it's just his shorts right there. But going on past the shorts, this team has looked really strong, and I think they really started to surprise people. Clearly, in the fall split. A big change. I noticed that Jermain and Dardez have always really been doing it, but the rest of the squad kind of stepped up as well, specifically looking there in that middle lane. I think they've had a lot of changes since losing Melissa.
Yeah, DeathPanter is I think he's so insane. Like his AMC, his Ho Yi. I've never seen someone hit so many triple bounces in mid. Like he never misses.
There is a scary sort of Achilles heel there where he doesn't play the traditional mages as well, but looking at him playing the hunters, and right now it's just that sweet spot where the meta's catering directly to his god pool. And, you know, bear in mind, this was a guy that played on Burrito. Like, this was a bottom of the barrel dude that's now contending for a spot at Worlds. And honestly, Mask, I mean, for my money, Elevate's one of the most impressive teams this weekend.
I think they're like the best, like most improved in my mind. Yeah. I came in thinking like, oh, Obey's gonna 3-1 them, and then I saw Dazer was their coach, and I'm like, all right, 3-2. And I was right though. But then they almost 3-0'd. Like they are insane. Like, I actually think on LG, like we're really big fans of Elevate. All of us. Barra loves him. I love him. I really want Cherryo to succeed because he's so insane. He plays this different type of jungle. Not many people play like that. Yeah,
why don't you go a little bit deeper? Because we look at jungle as sort of like, hey, I'm the assassin looking for a gank. But, you know, from your perspective as a tenured veteran jungler, what's so different about Cherryo's style?
He plays so weird, but it works. It works so well. It's different builds. He's so tanky. You can't really turn on him. He's just playing for the team. He's going in first. He's making sure his support's full HP. He's just doing it all.
He almost reminds me, honestly, of a Season 2 weekend back when he was with AFK. That was a very unique style that they brought to the Smite meta that was very unique and successful to them. A lot of teams tried to replicate it, didn't really work out necessarily, so that's why Cherryo really likes this style. You know, even when he was back with Sanguine, his very unique style of playing the jungle and just what he brought to the team in terms of theory crafting as well, changing picks and bans.
Yeah, I mean, when you play that different style, you know, you mentioned Weekend in Season 2, you got to have special teammates around you. You know, Weekend had Allied, who is very special, of course, and here you've got Dardez and Jermain, I think, as the two guys that are really going to allow Cherryo to play something different, because the power and the damage is always going to come out of that duo lane. Have you had the opportunity to play against Elevate yet?
This team, no, I've never played against him, but I've played against Cherry, and he's really good. Only one thing is, I don't like seeing him on Assassins. I think he plays these Guardians much better, and when he's off them, I know he doesn't want to be off them. He wants to play those Guardians. He wants to play that way, and he should. I feel like if he does, I think they will easily go 5-0. In my opinion.
I mean, he has the Naja and the Hun Bats that they go to every now and then, but clearly it didn't work out. We saw the Hun Bats come out twice in the 5-game series against Obey, and he just looked better on the Guardians.
And I think, honestly, if I recall correctly, that Game 5, Naja was available. Yes. It wasn't banned by Obey Alliance, but still going for the Hun Bats, trying to get that synergy with DeathPanter. Couldn't really quite find it. I think that was one of the shortest games of that set. So whenever they do bring out these tanky games or tanky frontline, the games get a little bit longer, and there's more room for error for their opponents that Elevate can really capitalize on.
Jermain doesn't seem too concerned about this next matchup. He seems really comfortable, but sticking to it, you know. So it's clear that Elevate have really focused on this one particular lineup of the 3 Guardians and the 2 Hunters, and it's working. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's clear that when we saw them bring out the Hun Bats and the Scylla, well, they didn't practice that one as much. How big of a deal? Is it a bad problem that they have this one strategy that works out?
No, not at all. They just have to make sure they have a lot of gods they can play in case it gets banned out. They can't just get banned out of 3 gods and then the strat's completely dead. I
think short term that it's not a bad idea at all, especially here in Super Regionals where you have 5 best of 1s. You're trying to get at least 3 points for potential tiebreakers 4 to get into HRX. But I think long term, if you're going to run this strategy and that's your only strategy for even Worlds, that's when it could be a problem for Elevate.
Let's take a look if it's a problem right now. P's and B's, pretty please, coming at you live. It's Noble versus Elevate. And, you know, I was talking to a lot of people, and they're saying, like, you know what, Elevate, they just have this one strategy. And they said the opposite of what you said. They said, no, it's a big problem. You've got your one-trick pony. And you know how many Guardians there are in Smite?
Yeah.
You know how many Hunters there are? You can't ban and take everything. Right away, Noble are going to look for it. I think and this was also a conversation I had, taking away the Athena more important than taking away the Cabrakan, even though Cabrakan has been so important for them.
I think they can take Cabrakan out as well. They're going to take both out. I think, I'm pretty sure they are first pick, Noble. So here's my prediction. I think Athena ban. I think Cabrakan ban. First pick Artio. They got to make sure they really get that Guardian Goggle real down.
Yeah. At the same time, it's funny. You go, yes, we've got the Cabrakan and the Athena. We're going to pick the Artio. And then Elevate come through and go, okay, Cherryo will just jungle Ymir.
Can you comment on this right there? The Whalrus special there with those glasses?
The clout goggles.
He needs some clout.
Is this the future so bright for him that he needs shades?
It's
It's really bright at 0 and 2 for Whalrus and Noble.
Oh, man.
Wow. I guess he does need protective eyewear if you're going to be firing shots like that. I really did not want to bring attention to the cloud goggles at all whatsoever. But yeah, there you go. It's Wally Whalrus, Mark Maloney, just
he's out there.
Maloney.
He is really out there.
rocking the 2016 meme goggles. Either way, Osiris to ban for Elevate alongside Cucullin, which I actually think is kind of nice because you have Noble focusing on these Guardians and Elevate focusing on these Warriors. Ain't nobody going to be tanky.
Yeah.
It's very true. I like Elevate strategy, though. Whalrus does provide a big, serious threat in that solo lane. He does have the potential to solo you if you're kind of left sleeping there. So taking away the Osiris and the Cucullin, this allows Elevate now to potentially lean on that solo lane, not having to worry about at least those two threats.
Wow. Muzen Cobb. I'm kind of shocked. I really thought Artio.
Yeah, with the Amusing Cod pickup, clearly Elevate's going to go directly to the Artio.
Well, a Muzen Cobb is also that one piece out of the puzzle for double Hunter, right? It's usually a Muzen Cobb paired up with the Ho Yi, but with Elevate's Jermain, it could also be the Ho Yi for DeathPanter and Rom for Jermain.
Yeah, I think I want to see the Ho Yi pick here, and that's exactly what we'll get. Simply because, I mean, you identify your weak part. DeathPanter's God Pool, absolutely a weak part of Elevate. Give him the Ho Yi. You know he can smack people with it. Done.
Now the question is, does Noble take a Rom here early on, or do they run the double Hunter as well, or do they just keep their Muzen Cobb, still run the traditional Mage for Moswal, which they probably should do, and then ban away the Rom in the secondary phase?
I think they're probably going to look to get Thoth. I mean, Moswal's been playing it really well, and I feel like Elevate is just going to go with either a Guardian pick so they don't all get banned out because now Jing 10's on Noble's side, or they're going to maybe go for a Warrior. I'm not really sure.
I think Noble can easily be baited into a bad situation where so in the picks and ban phase, it's very important to sort of outsmart your opposition and sort of take away their options. But at the same time, it's very easy to fall down the rabbit hole of focusing on, all right, we're going to screw them. And then you look at your draft and you go, none of us can play these gods. What did we just do? Mozzie is one of the better traditional mage players here. Don't get caught up in keeping Jermain off of Rom. Give
Janus.
Moswal a fantastic
Janus.
pick. I think Janus is going to work out well.
In my opinion, no.
Really?
This is not a big, even though the ult is skillful and it does require skill, a lot of it is luck.
Yeah, I agree.
Most of it is. It's not like a Vulcan. It's not like a Thoth where you can well-positioned ults can just win you the game. I really think Elevate just have the upper hand here.
Obey Alliance, Game 5 against Elevate, brought out the Janus for Pretty Prime once I think Rajan was taken off the table and Emilzy ran that hell. And I think it wasn't necessarily a strategy developed around hitting the abilities because Pretty Prime, I think around 15 minutes, had 3,000 damage. He was just the threshold man, getting the mobility for his team, trying to reposition his teammates between the threshold and the portals, avoiding some of these Guardians.
I called it.
Ymir.
I called it. I knew when the going gets tough, Cherryo is going to go to the Ymir jungle. He loves his pick.
At one point, we're going to see Cherryo on Kuzembo, on Bacchus, maybe even going to the Worlds, because there's so many Guardians. You ban them all. He's just going to pick another. Guardians do a bunch of damage if you build them correctly.
What about the Kumbhakarna jungle?
He might. This is why, people are saying this strat doesn't work, and to an extent, yes, some gods are much better. For instance, if they get Artio Cabrakan, that'd be the dream scenario. Sure. But even if they get an Artio Ymir, Artio, even Kuzembo, even though it's a meme, it's still so
Captain
good.
Twig played it in one of the last games of the regular season against a team that was trying their hardest and smoked them with the Kuzembo jungle. Meme or not meme, it wins games, and I don't care if it's hilarious or serious. If it comes up with the W, that's what matters.
Yeah.
And Skeeledon needs to find an option to try to kind of go past these Guardians and go on to DeathPanter and Jermain. Ratatasker stripped away by Elevate. I called the Rom ban because Jermain really likes that pick, even with Ho Yi. That's definitely going to go for DeathPanter. But these assassins for Skeeledon here, do you expect a Bakasura maybe?
I'm not sure. It'd be pretty decent, I'd say, because Baka's best trait is when you are fighting in the jungle and they are trying to steal your buffs because you don't have pressure. If you don't have a kill comp, Baka can just stand there. He can't die.
And there are 3 picks that I've been begging teams to select and to elevate. Nemesis, Kali, Bakasura. All of them destroy tanks. Kali gets the chin side, Bakasura gets true damage, and Nemesis just Nemesis, right? So you're able to chew through these tanks. You know, Elevate is playing with their hand on the table face up, and you know what they're doing. It's not a surprise. So fight into it. You have options here.
I'm surprised to see a Fafnir ban rather than an Ullr, because that's one of Jermain's best gods.
It's very true. He did bring that out, I think, in game number 1 and 2 against Obey Alliance. He really likes to try to just put a lot of pressure in that duel lane, especially with Dardez that might be piloting this Artio or Ymir.
So the Ullr selection has worked out in lane, but when it comes time to team fight, I find that every time Elevate go to the Ullr, they lack the power that ultimates bring, especially when they also have an Artio, right? So I feel like Noble are saying, yeah, please pick the Ullr, you'll beat us up in lane, but then when it comes to time to team fight, you literally have 3 ultimates, and one of them's Ymir. So like, you're sitting there saying, you're kind of baiting Elevate into that scenario, I think.
But more importantly, it's also trying to deny the enemy hunter with this Ullr early game pressure. Hachiman instead of Ullr here, an ultimate that can really turn the tides in team fights.
Big ult. Main job of Hachiman ult is to just ult, get to their backline. Ult them, get the damage on the squishies. It does like a quarter of their health, and then Hachi can just dash out. Aegis if he even has to.
Yep.
And he's chilling.
Or pull a Zaman and dash in.
I mean, if you want to be zapped, then you're just trying to lose.
Noble right here, 2 more selections. And you know what? All right, I pride myself on being able to change my mind when given information, and I've been thinking about this Janus pick since we disagreed, and I gotta say I'm with you. I liked Janus originally because it's going to give him Muzen Cobb sort of a get out of jail free card, but Moswal is a guy that really changes games with his mage play. And like you said, I don't know if Janus is that guy. If you hit the unstable vortex with all of the boxes checked, the threshold, the passive, etc., you're gonna blow somebody up. If you don't do that, you're gonna wait another 5-8 seconds until you get to try again. So right now for Noble, AMC, Xing, Tian, Janus, I'm looking for 2 selections that are gonna bring reliable damage.
That's true. There's more weight on Skeeledon's shoulders. We're seeing Ganesha for Wubbn. Naja is the selection here. It's not the most traditional assassin mid-mage combo, but this mobility, Naja, as long as you consistently hit those ring bounces, is going to be so mobile.
You're loving it, Mask.
Yeah, big elephant, little man, dude. He goes up in the air, comes down, Ganesh puts the ult down, double ticks, 2 ticks, maybe even 3. They have no prots. They're dead every time.
Little boy, big trunk. That's how it works out.
But that's
for
what it's
Naja.
called. Messed it up.
Little boy, big trunk. You got to get it right, man.
Sorry.
Elevate. 1 more selection. I am going to venture a guess and say maybe a Guardian. Just maybe a Guardian.
I don't
Some
know.
frontliner. What if we see
Combat's looking good.
Nox? Support, maybe?
I mean, I feel like with Elevate, Nox support is always an option.
Scab.
It will be the Geb, and this will provide the protection. I think we definitely see Ymir in the jungle, Artio over there in the solo lane for no numbers, and Geb with support.
The Geb is very important to try to limit some of the crits against the Naja. So every time Skeeledon's looking for a target, he's looking for anybody but Geb here.
Yeah.
There's interesting drafts coming out across the board. Both Elevate and Noble, I think, kind of got what they want. I do think Noble is going to have trouble fighting into the tanky lineup of Elevate.
Yeah, I think Elevate certainly have it here in a bag already for their picks and bans. They got their traditional style, their triple guardian, double physical hunter here. I don't see a world where Noble's first win here is against an Elevate that's 2-0 already.
Yep. Elevate's going 3-0.
Yeah, Elevate have looked absolutely fantastic up until this point. One of the better teams here this weekend, I would say, and absolutely one of the best teams in group play, without a doubt. Money where their mouth is. Will they go 3-0? That's what we say. We'll take a look with the casters.
Thank you, Tom. We do have Finch here, Taco as well. And we saw some nice action there in the picks and bans before we go into Noble versus Elevate.
And it's always a pretty bold statement to make whenever you're convinced that a team is going to 3-0 it, but that seems to be the crowd prediction as well. At least here it is in the arena.
Well, they have the same comp that we've seen them be so successful on here already. Those triple Guardians, and then this time they got Huyi and Hachiman to be those physical hunters that we've seen work for them. As we get ready, it is going to be just a best of one, Noble and Elevate.
And the interesting part about this draft is really Jermain on the Hachiman. A lot of question marks being opened up here because it's not really the standard pick from what Elevate has been looking for, although it keeps intact that double Hunter, triple Guardian composition. Elevate's certainly going to have to play a little bit slower pace, though, if they don't want to run completely behind to Noble.
It'll also be interesting here. We know that Cherryo can play this Ymir very well, but we also know that a lot of their success has come from him piloting this Kabrak. And how well is he going to be able to do this Ymir here, particularly in this game against Noble?
Noble definitely did their homework, recognizing that Kabrakan and Athena are just two picks you can never afford to give Cherryo. But of course, like anything else, it's a pick your poison matchup when it comes to Elevate, because one way or another, they're going to find a way to sneak those Guardians in. And right now, it's Wowy on that AMC trying to get the boxing trade against Jermain, but that Heavenly Banner already putting in work.
Yeah, Wowy taking a lot more poke than he bargained for there. Wubbn tried to step up and take a couple of autos, tank a couple of them for his friend, but still, like you said, the Heavenly Banner just comes over the top, and they're able to take it away. Skeeledon and Whalrus looks like just defend their own speed.
Very smart decision there as well, I think, for these two to start on their own buffs, kind of anticipating that invade from no numbers, I would say, or at least recognizing that Cherryo is helping out his team on the left-hand side of the map. And so when you know that there's one side being pressured by 3 to 4 members potentially, you gotta find the buff somewhere else.
And this is what Huyi does for you. When we see this happen, we usually see the jungle mid rotate together, but because of Huyi's clear, the ricochet, he's really able to go do those mid harpies alone. Cherryo goes down and helps with the invade, and Jermain takes out Wowy over there in the 2v2.
That was very sudden.
Yes.
Actually, it was literally a pan away for not even 10 seconds, and Wowy ends up dying. Speaking of which, Skeeledon could be in a whole lot of trouble here. The portal was placed by Moswal, but Skeely opts to not take it.
Yeah, and instead, recognizing that he was in trouble, just kind of loops around, and he still manages to make it out of there. I don't think they were expecting to have that big of a defense for that speed buff when they got there.
I do believe that that was actually in favor of Noble, though, for that speed buff. Skeely, though, can't risk picking it up himself because there were just too many bodies present for Elevate at the scene.
Instead, Jermain and Dardez going to come over here and take these oracles, so that's going to go in their favor. And this is something that we're seeing now with this meta now, where you can start different areas. The jungle side kind of goes to one team, jungle solo, and then the duo side goes to the other. It just depends on where you want your pressure.
But check out that super early ward vision from Elevate. It seems as though they were expecting Skeeledon to try and maintain a lot of pressure on the solo end, especially with the Najah pick. So placing that deep ward just keeps in mind whether or not Skeely's actually trying to come in from that loop around on the back harpies.
You're right. It's really defensive. It kind of doesn't tell them until he's already there, so it seems like it's a bit more reactive than like preventive. But you're right. It's something where they predict, they recognize that he'd be trying to get back there and look for their bus, and they were not wrong at all. But I want to take a moment to talk about Dardez here on this Geb. A lot of the times up against this Elevate triple tank comp, you want to take out these hunters a little bit harder when Geb's on there.
And Dardez's main priority here is to just play babysitter. That's kind of just what your standard is anytime you're picking up the Geb. You know that you're going to be susceptible to early game damage. You don't really have your shield online or enough to where it can actually help prevent you from getting hit by any damage. Speaking of which, Moswal eating that triple bounce out of DeathPanter.
Yeah, that's definitely not what Moswal was wanting here in the mid lane. I gotta have to play especially careful, as now we do have everybody except for no numbers ticking over to level 5. A couple of members on Noble still waiting, but all the more impactful people for Elevate are ready with those ultimates. In fact, Cheerio is over here to help no numbers in that lane up against Whalrus. We just have to make sure he plays a little bit back.
And for Whalrus, I mean, he is still going to have a moderately difficult time against this Artio. That cripple field's going to come into effect whenever he's trying to get his dash away the escape, really important. Don't want that being interrupted, especially knowing that Cherryo is on the Ymir jungle.
Yeah, he might get pincered here. Just about everyone's here. He got a 2-man stun, though. Goes right into the shard device. Cataclysm for Dardez and the knock-up into the Ymir damage. Up into the air, though, goes Cheerio. DeathPanter does clean up Whalrus, but Moswal returns it onto Cheerio right away. Skeeledon in the Suns, too. DeathPanter getting a double kill.
That was such a beautiful placement of those suns by DeathPanter. As soon as Skeeledon landed, there was nowhere for him to go. Dardez doing everything that he can to maybe find that kill onto Moswal, but instead, Elevate just going to be happy to clean away that speed buff.
And I don't know if I'm the only one that's been impressed by DeathPanter's play this weekend, but he's looking great, in particular when he gets this Hu-Yi pick. But on all these physical hunters in mid, he's looked excellent.
And there's a reason why the other EU teams don't ever try to let DeathPanter have the Hu-Yi, and it's because they all easily regard him as probably the best Hu-Yi mid in EU.
He's really, really good, and we're getting to see it here this weekend. He's already 2-0-0 thanks to that last engagement where he rotated over just a little bit ahead of Moswal. We saw DeathPanter was already 7 and Moswal just rotated over. Now, later on in this game with that double hunter comp, we know that when you can't get to them, it can be hard to beat them. How do you feel about Noble's comp in the late game?
Well, the thing about Noble is they're mostly looking for, I think, a counter engage. Maybe Skeeledon can look for the initial engagement, but that's pretty difficult to do whenever there's a Geb on the enemy team. Really, Noble just need to wait until Elevate's pretty distracted with trying to initiate themselves. I mean, that's what you get 3 Guardians for. It's because you want to start the fight and then hopefully close it out.
And not just start it, but it's controlling it throughout the fight. There were a couple times where Elevate had this triple Guardian meta, a triple Guardian composition, but it was Guardians that didn't quite have the control they wanted. I mean, with an Ymir, with a Geb, with an Artio, though, they're certainly not going to have that problem this time.
I will say, though, I am a little bit surprised that teams still haven't felt it warranted to try and pick up a Sunder, possibly, to help better manage the triple Guardian composition that we see so often from Elevate.
And that's been sort of the call. Like sometimes we see him pick a Nemesis. That's kind of the same idea, you know, make it easier to kill this tank. And that really wasn't working for them either. So it feels like they've instead invested in this, tried to get to the backline option. That's what Skeeledon's doing with this Najah. And even Moswal, to some extent, can help him get back there. As we see the man fight happening over here, Jermain has to drop the banner on top of himself. And Wowy happened to pick up the Stinger, but everyone's coming over with the through space and time.
And this is all that Noble wanted to do. They wanted to put Jermain out of position, but it seems as though he's going to get away. Maybe the 1 HP. Bluestone hoping to come in clutch for Skeeledon, but he's not going to be able to find it.
Jermain happy to walk away, but Wubbn might not get to. He dashes out from underneath the Suns and is slowed, but too many members of the enemy team are here, taking him up into the area. Skeeledon crashing back down as Dardez, and Dardez ends up falling. DeathPanter gonna jump away.
Beautiful timing there by Moswal on that unstable vortex. Can be pretty difficult, actually, trying to find that follow-up damage as a Janus off of the Najah. So because of it, now Noble at least get a little bit of something, what was originally nothing.
That's right, but getting a kill in mid lane is Moswal just with a hot portal on the Cherryo. Noble now evened it up as far as the kills are concerned, only down about 500 gold.
This Janus pick for Moswal is really going to make a pretty significant impact on the rest of the game now. 3-0 already. He is legit carrying Noble at the moment.
Yeah, he's got all of their kills. In fact, that last kill was when he kind of just set up on his own in the middle with playing very well individually. And there's some questions in the pick phase about why this Janus. Well, it's because Moswal is very comfortable on it.
There's just certain gods that I don't think every player is accustomed to seeing from somebody else. And I think Moswal, I mean, we've seen a whole lot of Thoth out of him this season, but you never really anticipate the Janus. I mean, you might have maybe seen the Vulcan, but this is certainly more pocket pick oriented.
And he's been using his through space and time so far, not so much for the damage, just for getting his team over there and relying on the unstable vortex to be what gets his damage out of it, and the portal to provide a little bit more control.
The main thing that I liked is how Moswal was so keen to just ult over to the left-hand side of the map, recognizing that Wowy was in a little bit of danger after he fell so early on to Jermain. Unfortunately, that just gives Hachiman a lot of pressure, and again, just beautiful.
Anybody else might have been dead there, but hey, Moswal can just kind of walk through walls, so he does it and gets on out of there. Not the Ymir walls, just the walls on the map, and he's perfectly safe there as that Janus. But still, Cherryo good setup. Those Ymir walls, man, another just really strong part of Ymir's kit.
I believe the last time we actually saw Cherryo on the Ymir, at least for LAN, was when he was with Senguin. And so it's been a bit of a throwback pick, at least, coming out from Cherryo. But I do really fancy this pick for him in particular, and I like it much more than Dardez on the Ymir.
Skeeledon forcing DeathPanter into a bad situation. His beads are going to be on cooldown now. And that's what we've seen from these Naja picks. They aren't always going all in for the kill right away. In fact, the Sash can sometimes be the most important cooldown that Najas have.
The important thing to keep in mind here for Skeeledon is that he really just wants to try and burn some actives. And another thing with Naja as well is it's either you all in it and actually come up with something, or you just get fragged every single time. And Skeeledon, there's always the meme that he tends to just feed his brains out whenever he gets in the Naja, but it helps out his team because as long as your team is finding the kills, that helps them secure the objectives after.
3-3 here are the kills after a couple of good plays out of Moswal and the rest of Noble. They've all but evened things up here with Elevate, and we've talked about it a little bit before. Clearly, Elevate are comfortable taking their games later, Taco. They know that once these tanks get to the point where they're basically unkillable, and then their two hunters are to the point where they're shredding, they got a good chance to win.
And that's why I'm a bit of a fan of what Noble's trying to clash into that with. I mean, they have the Xing 10, they've got the Ganesha. There's at least two pretty steady frontliners. Speaking of which, though, Elevate not really hesitating on this Gold Fury.
No, the Sunbreaker's been dropped down on top from DeathPanter through space and time. Not quite enough. Elevate secure the objective, and they get away scot-free.
It was a great ult and great timing, just unfortunately not enough damage yet from Moswal. Still only level 11 in this match, and he hasn't finished any pen, so pretty hard to make that a feasible steal.
Yeah, that's difficult when you're doing it through space and time. But Moswal close enough, but just not enough. Elevate now able to push that lead back out again to about 1,500 or so in their favor. And like we talked about, Elevate don't need to run away with this right away. As long as they keep themselves here in this kind of comfortable spot, they're feeling good about their chances.
But also going back to what I was saying, it's just that Noble has a draft that can definitely clash back into Elevate's composition. I mean, when you have two frontliners and three gods that actually deal a pretty significant amount of damage the later the game progresses, this could be a pretty tough one for Elevate to close out.
Yeah, our desk was even talking about it. There's some good synergy here within just their comp itself, between like Skeeledon and Wubbn, taking them up into the air, having the Dharmic Pillars waiting on them when they come back down. Or Moswal can set up something similar with his portals. They do have a good bit of control to try and match what Elevate's bringing.
And of course, for Noble, they also, I think, don't really want to rush into things too quickly. We saw what happened in their last game that they just played, where Skeeledon, I think, was pulling the trigger a little bit too quickly on that Ratatasker, a little bit too eager to try and jump into the mix of a brawl. Right now, I think the main focus for Noble needs to just be to continue farming it up.
Yeah, that's what Noble need to look at. Make sure that they're getting their characters to the point where they can actually shred through some of these tanks a little bit more effectively, or either that or survive long enough to get to the backline. Sash coming out from Skeeledon on to Jermain. He's done it once, he's done it before, and that was enough to not get the beads out of him, but at least maybe force Jermain back a bit.
And a really important beads pull there from Jermain, because now that those are on cooldown, it's going to make Jermain not want to play as aggressively into Wowy, because he's never going to really be certain as to whether or not that Naja's lurking around the corner for the gank.
No, it's definitely putting the fear into him, and it certainly was enough for him to get the beads out of him there. So that's going to be, he's going to have to back up for it, and you got to do it. If he comes in on you like that, he can just take you right up into the air. So it's not as if Jermain really even had, much choice in the situation. That's what Skeely's been doing well with this Naja the whole time. Moswal knows they're lurking over the wall, though. Throws him an unstable vortex just to say hello, and I see y'all. And that's enough for Elevate to go ahead and back up.
It all depends, though, on what Skeeledon's really trying to accomplish with this Naja. If he wants to try and look for the early picks or not. I feel with the current draft that Noble is running, it could be really difficult to lock down a kill despite Moswal's impeccable timing so far with those unstable vortexes. And he pulled DeathPanter's beads earlier, but those are already back off cooldown, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him let the same thing happen for Jermain.
I think Elevate are worried about this presence from Skeeledon on the left-hand side. We saw Dardez kind of roll over here to try and make sure there's a little bit more presence. Stun actually comes down on top of Wubbn, getting slowed down in that Sunbreaker, throwing the Dardez back into trouble as Whalrus. Actually, through space and time comes out. Cherryo can't quite get the freeze to go all the way through. Skeeledon wraps down, no numbers, but still they're going to have to back off, just not able to get enough damage out.
Oh, but maybe for the RNG crit follow-up is all that I can imagine, or that Elevate maybe try to funnel back through that choke point. Still, without DeathPanter having that ultimate available, and the same for Dardez, that's kind of a win for Noble just because they didn't lose Wubbn in the process.
Yeah, that they didn't drop anyone there is pretty good. So Noble's happy that no one ended up falling for it, even though the aggression did get started there in that jungle path. And I think Dardez was right. We kind of saw him. You kind of saw the call afterwards when Geb rolls back out, tries to head over to that area so Elevate can respond to some of the pressure that they're seeing out from Noble. But is the pressure kind of on Noble to make a move here, or is it on Elevate?
The pressure is still got to be on Elevate, at least from my perspective, because Noble can afford to just AFK chill. They've got Skeeledon running the Blink ult Najah, and anytime you have a Najah with Blink, you never really know when you're going to get a Gress stun, and that's kind of the advantage that Noble is running into Elevate. So for Elevate, they don't really want to wait for Noble to pick their moment.
No, I think you're right that Noble are trying to focus on that farm in particular. Even look at Skeeledon choosing to go with those Talaria boots, trying to get a little bit of extra gold, probably from that ring bounce.
I don't see Skeeledon trying to go too tank-oriented on the Najah either, but I know a lot of junglers have really been digging the Talaria boots because of that increased movement speed whenever you are out of combat, so it helps a lot with traversing through the map.
And it makes sense. Skeeledon has been everywhere on this map, it feels like, in particular trying to give Jermain a hard time over in this duo lane and make sure that they keep those relics on cooldown for him. He's back to having them available now, though, so if anything comes up, Jermain will at least have that get-out-of-jail-free card. Taking a look at them, though, no numbers once again, feeling like he likes that teleport. And some of those prolonged engagements, it's come up for him.
Well, it's not an upgraded teleport just yet, so it won't be able to arrive thanks to War Division itself, but could still be really important for Elevate because that Gold Fury has just respawned. No numbers could potentially TP to that T1 tower in the mid lane and approach the rest of his, and go with the rest of his team to approach the Gold Fury.
Still sitting at 3-3, but right now, Gold Fury being thought about here by Noble. Freeze coming out on the Wubbn, knocking up from Dardez, making Wubbn take some good damage, actually stunning him into not just the Shard of Ice, but the Sunbreaker as well. DeathPanter gets credit for that kill. He jumps in knowing he's got a Geb shield to sail him. Skeeledon takes way more damage than he wanted to. Mounted Archery hits Moswal and Wowy, forcing everyone else back. Good wall, though! Isolates Skeeledon from the rest of his team, and he'll have to run as Whalrus comes in the back.
Whalrus is trying to help out Noble here. He's already popping his Thorns preemptively before jumping into the middle of that fight, but that ultimate from the Xing 10 is only going to catch one member, and they're way too tanky to handle.
Skeeledon was at least able to find DeathPanter there in the back, but he pays for it immediately when he crashes back down. Right now it's 2-for-1 still in favor of Elevate. They're actually looking for a little bit more here on the Wowy, who ain't afraid to box.
This could be a potential turnaround, though, for Noble. Whalrus is still relatively healthy. Same could be said for Wowy. Dardez and Jermain are both super low, and Cherryo just doesn't really have the mana right now to compete.
Whalrus trying to lock down Cherryo, so Wowy can put the damage and getting out that honey to try and make it easier to catch up to him. Gonna pick back up his Stinger and just go ahead and back off for now, though.
One of the only downsides of going against such a tank-heavy composition, and it's now numbers with the rotation, catches out Walrus's dash and puts him in that cripple field immediately.
Moswal rotating in thanks to the portals. No number takes the unstable Vortex, gets a little more than he was looking for. Lockdown from Wubbn, follow-up damage from Noble, not quite enough. Dharmic Pillars, though, helps him finish it out. Wowy takes no numbers.
And he was able to pick up the Stinger again. That's probably the most important part. This is the second time now that Wowy gets to re-pick up that Stinger. First he got it after ulting Cherryo, and now he's going to get it one more time after killing no numbers.
Yeah, he could potentially use his ult 3 times if this ends up being a prolonged engagement. Seems pretty good to me. Skeeledon getting the sash on the DeathPanter on the right to keep him away. Sunbreaker has come out from Jermain. Actually, he's able to take Whalrus too. Here's Skeeledon going up on a Jermain one more time. Jermain can barely even think without having to worry about Skeeledon. Moswal finishes it out, and Noble confirmed the Gold Fury.
And now Noble just want to get out of town.
Is gone.
There's no chance for Skeeledon to survive. That ricochet off of the Ymir wall, whether it was intentional or not, it just completely fragged Skeeledon.
Yeah, that was nasty. See you later, buddy. He got wiped up off the map. So in the end there, Noble were able to take the Gold Fury, but Elevate get a few kills. Now they're the ones moving down here towards this tier 1 tower in mid, looking to try and get a little bit back.
Relatively worthwhile, though, for Noble, because they ended up turning an engagement that was initially very much against them into way more of their favor. However, Elevate, when the Gold Fury goes down, next thing immediately being looked after is going to be that Portal Demon, and Wubbn wasn't able to secure his own speed buff for his jungler.
Everyone's coming in. Wubbn gets frozen. Wubbn gets locked down. Portal is enough to slow down Cherryo from falling up, but DeathPanter actually jumps in aggressively. The wall isolates him, and DeathPanter finishes cleaning that one up. Now trying to lock down Moswal with the cripple field is no numbers. Aegis buys him enough time, and he makes it back through the portal.
Moswal probably just sweating a little bit right there from no numbers lockdown potential, but it did get Elevate to reset the Portal Demon at the very least, and now Noble kind of just going to lick their wounds from that last engagement.
And there was a while in this game where things were pretty quiet, and then all of a sudden it sort of turned up over there at the Gold Fury when the issue was forced on that objective. Coming back over, trying to find a little bit more was Elevate and get that return Portal Demon, but Noble ended up defending it. It cost some Wubbn, but at least the objective still stands.
Well, that's my concern right now, though, if I'm Noble, is Wubbn really can't afford to keep getting caught out in the way that he has. He's been looking for the aggressive postures against Elevate and dashing in for that initial little bit of a knock up and hold on the enemy team, but he can't afford to do that against members with such great slow and just entrapment, really.
The good news is Moswal still playing really well as no numbers and DeathPanter continue to look for aggression on the Skeeledon, who, thanks to good play from Wubbn, is able to get on out of there. But they, even though some of their other members are getting picked off like Skeely and Wubbn, Moswal continues to look good this game. The wall from Cherryo, once again jumping in aggressively, is DeathPanter, man. He does not care about Noble. He's looking for kills.
Jermain just watching that Janus ultimate fly right in front of his very own eyes. And with that being down, Elevate now feeling a little bit more confident in trying to aggress onto this Portal Demon. That's basically all the steal potential from a Noble.
Yeah, it was the best way for them to contest this objective. Instead, Elevate get it basically for free. He is able to whirlwind and raid and steal there through that fight as Whalrus, but it didn't deter Elevate. Wall just a little off the mark from Cherryo, so they'll back up for now, but they did get the objective.
But now that Elevate have that Portal Demon, it just allows them to get that freebie back and come back in. And what I'd imagine for Elevate to do, since they have that automatic reset to the middle of the map, they can aggress this T1 tower and solo for free.
And it does look like they want to keep posturing aggressively over here. Does Elevate. In fact, they are going to come over and push down this tier 1 tower, or at least give it a chance, bring that minion wave up. But Noble don't want to give this up. It's only about 500 gold for your team, and they still want to try and defend it. May want that map pressure more than anything. Going in on the Whalrus is the call. Sunbreaker comes down from DeathPanter, but everyone's able to get out of it for now. Skeeledon went up into the air, but it really wasn't enough. Actually coming back through the portal into danger. Moswal ends up falling. I don't know if that was what the plan was. DeathPanter gets the ricochet, hits 2 members, and they continue to push. Cataclysm blink in from Dardez. See you later, Whalrus.
That beautiful interruption by Dardez just catching everybody off guard. Jermain, he's looking for the triple. He's actually got the quadra, but can he find the penta?
Either way, they do get the quadra kill. Decisive coming out for Elevate. They take that tier 1 tower, and they're going to be looking to take a little bit more. What a big team fight over here in this solo lane side. What happened there, Taco, for it to go so out of control for Noble?
His team just stole a pentakill from him. That's what just happened. If only he'd found the first one, but it's just so devastating for Noble, though, after that engagement. What went wrong is just trying to contest a T1 tower against a double ADC composition. You've got DeathPanter and Jermain, who both already have Titan's Bane Odysseus Bow. Their damage spread is so wide at the moment that Noble really can't afford to contest in that manner. They have to rely on Skeeledon taking a member up into the air, which he did. But the ultimate follow-up by Moswal, and it just wasn't enough with the through space and time to secure the kill onto Jermain, because he was immediately Geb shielded upon landing, and even Aegis for good measure.
It really feels like they gave up a Fire Giant trying to defend 500 gold just now here to me, Taco. I don't know if it was worth that big engagement just for some of the aggression from Elevate. In the end, though, they do win that fight handily. They now sit on top of a 6,000 gold lead, more than doubled up in the kills, too, and Elevate are in control.
Excuse me, I believe it was actually a meditation and the shell at the same time that came out. I thought that was Jermain just blowing his Aegis because he looked like he took no damage in the end, but turns out it was just his team with some excellent peel.
Yeah, they were able to keep him alive through that engagement. Moswal, we could not say the same for you or the rest of your team, buddy. You're going to need to back up and look for a defense as Elevate push down that tier 1 in the dual lane side. Cherryo's facing down 3 members through space and time, is on cooldown. Skeeledon is also on cooldown. 43 more seconds till we'll get to see him again. And tier 2 now in duo is the one under stress. As wrapping around the back is no numbers. Wowy, you can't be here, buddy.
The walls are just going to take Wowy out entirely. There is absolutely no chance for him. And honestly, this gank wraparound that Dardez and No Numbers have been doing almost every time in the past couple engagements, just crushing Noble. The shockwave from the Cataclysm, there's just absolutely no way to escape.
See you later, Whalrus. No way for you to escape either. No Numbers continuing to put on the pressure onto Wubbn. He's not going to be able to defend this Phoenix that's falling in dual lane already 24 minutes in. It was close for a while, but Elevate blew this game open after getting a full deicide over on the dual lane side of the map. Now mid-Phoenix is likely to fall as Dardez continues to zone out 3 members.
And Jermain doesn't want to waste any more time. He just wants to secure these Phoenixes and then probably back to base to spend all that gold. If Elevate are able to find a couple of picks, then I'd imagine they'd look for the game end, but at the moment, they're looking to just take it easy.
Jermain ends up taking down Wubbn. Sunbreaker was dropped down to zone away, but it actually provided a lot of good damage. Elevate actually are pushing in. Is it possible they could go for the end here, Taco? It looks like they are.
They've got 3 waves that are going to be pushing in here pretty soon, and anytime you have that amount of creeps, it's way too much for any one team to handle usually.
Blinking in is Dardez one more time, getting the Cataclysm on the several members. It's Moswal, that's the target. It's Moswal who's gone. Going in further for the team is No Numbers with the cripple field with the shards of ice. It's too much damage. Elevate are looking so good this weekend up against Noble Sports. Noble eSports, they're going to take one more win, and I think they go to 3-0 off that, right?
Dardez is in the fountain as
chilling.
The game is ending. There is just no way. Every single team here is terrified of Elevate for a reason, and it is partially because of that last game that we just witnessed. This triple Guardian, double Hunter composition is just seemingly unstoppable.
Do you think maybe Dardez was thirsty? Is that why he was in the fountain? Trying to get something to drink there, Taco?
No, just knowing Dardez, he just likes to assert some dominance sometimes over his enemies. But
he did a good job of it that game. That Blink Cataclysm on that big team fight, the one over in the solo lane, I mean, that was huge.
It was just nonstop aggression from Elevate. They really took advantage of their composition and made sure to utilize it to its fullest, never really giving Noble the same amount of time to hit their own power spikes. They recognized, hey, we're already online. Our hunters finished the 4 core items that we wanted them to hit. Let's take these fights.
But I gotta ask you, is this becoming a trend for Noble? It feels like they're in games, they're close, and then one maybe bad call, one botched engagement, they kind of drop games.
It's just a lack of experience more than anything else, I would say. And for Noble as well, you've got to consider they're a team here and probably the most underlooked team out of everybody else. I don't think any other teams are really worrying about them, so to say, but I do still believe that Noble has more than enough potential to play that spoiler factor for some of these other teams here, although that's looking less and less likely because you are correct with that last victory. Elevate are currently sitting at a 3-0, Energy are sitting at a 3-0, both of these teams looking fairly secured for Worlds.
Yeah, these two teams are looking like the top of the class down here in the group stages. They certainly haven't all the way secured it just yet. We do have plenty more games to play, but I got to agree with you, Taco. It's looking like if you want to go to HRX, it's got to be through either Elevate or Energy.
It's basically coming down to Trifecta being the last hope for NA because it's all on Trifecta. They have one victory, but they've only played one game, so their next match is actually going to be super critical. They can't afford to lose it.
Well, let's go ahead and let Tom and the rest of the desk break it down here for us and let us know what's going on.
All right, welcome back to the desk. Tom Battinger here, joined this time by Coach Hazer of Obey and Ataraxia. You baited me. I was trying to talk to Hazer during the off-camera segment, and so you can't hear anything with these headphones on. And so I did one of these, like to tell Hazer that I wanted to talk, and he just sat there like.
I don't want to look unprofessional on stream, you know. I'm out here trying to carry this desk.
So my question was. Are bagpipes Scottish?
Bagpipes are indeed Scottish, yeah.
Well, I keep hearing these bagpipes in the Smite music. Is that you?
I wish it was.
Is that you're doing?
No, I can't play the pipes, you know? I feel like I'm missing a part of the stereotype. I got the alcoholism.
Yep.
I got the looking old while still being quite young.
Yep.
I need the
Come on,
pipes too.
man. You're very handsome and young. Didn't you promise to Dazer that you would wear a kilt at Worlds now? Is that something that I'm going to announce on stream? That now that we're going to Worlds, you're going to bring out your kilt? I believe that was said.
I think he said that he would wear one as well, though.
That's
So
true, yeah.
he's
If
gotta keep to
they
his
both
end of
said
the
that if we
bargain.
make Worlds, they would wear a kilt. So I guess Dazer and Hazer, they rhyme as well.
I like that.
Both have to wear kilts.
I own one in the hay tartan. You know, I'll rep that. I'll rep
Yeah?
that.
You got to learn how to play the pipes as well.
Ah, that's a bit much.
And it's just, I mean, you got a month. You got a month, right?
They don't even sound that good, man.
I don't know about that. They sound pretty good in that bumper we have right there.
Yeah, I do like that. And when Flower of Scotland comes on, I do get a little bit patriotic, you know.
What is this? We're for Smite, you know?
Oh, the Smite played today?
We're talking about Worlds. That's what this all is about. Super regionals, teams trying to find their way to Worlds. Obey. You guys have already punched your ticket. You guys are going. I mean, the obvious question. How's it feel?
Feels amazing. It feels as good as it does every year, you know? And
Apart
What about you?
It's a little humble brag right there.
yeah. No, I'm quite excited to lose in the finals again. We're going for the 3P almost world champions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
the
should
aim,
at least
right?
get one ring for that, right?
Can we get that like a special? If we do it again, if we cock it up again, can we get like a special second place ring?
We'll give you like a glove. How about that? Like a single glove.
A Michael
guess.
Jackson ass.
Yeah, just like a Michael Jackson single glove type deal.
I can pull
Yeah,
that off.
okay.
And you've kind of climbed the ranks just coaching, which is interesting because a lot of the coaches are kind of like scrubbed out players.
Yeah.
You've
Wow.
just been the
Funny
Actually-
you'd mention that. So
The
with
Odin.
Elevate, now 3-0, 5/6 of the last team that I played on competitively could be going to Worlds. You've got Deathwalker, Kalas, me, Alpha Jackal, and No Numbers, which was run out by Just Jack, who's, I don't know where he is.
I
but-
remember Just
You said
Jack.
competitively.
Yeah.
Is that a
Just Jack.
that's a
and-
bit of a stretch, no?
yeah, just-
Well, high-level amateur. We were like, okay.
I remember I5. Elevate versus Noble. Looking pretty good here, at least Elevate is. Noble was able to hang for a large part of that game as well, though.
I feel like you see that a lot against these comps that Elevate are drafting, though. It's kind of a slow burn. They play okay. They get into the mid game. It's still going okay for the other team. In the mid-late game, they just seem to win one fight and just accelerate and just destroy for the rest of the game. And there's no Phoenix defenses happening at all.
You know, it's interesting. We see the same damn thing. 3 Guardians, 2 Hunters, every time that Elevate come out when they win. We won't talk about the Hunbats and Scylla. And, you know, I had Mask up here. So I've been talking to a lot of people, and me and Mask seem to be the only ones on the same page. I'm going to ask you guys, is it a problem that that's their go-to every time?
I think larger picture, yeah. Right now, clearly not. You know, they've every team they've come against with it, they've beaten, us included. You know, we won the set because we could get them on Humbats and Scylla. Thank God for Scylla. But you know, like they've smashed everyone. It's not even they've not really been that close. You know, like even the games we had, we dropped a 10k lead to them with that comp. So you know, larger picture, sure, I'm sure teams with a month to figure it out will get it. But right now, no, they could go undefeated. You know.
Because, I mean, you sit there and we watched Noble, I think, had a decent ban phase against them. They banned all the Guardians that they could think about, right? And it's just, all right, we'll play Ymir instead, right? And it still worked out. There's so many of those Guardians, you know, and Mask even brought up, like, the Kuzenbo. You guys played Kuzenbo. He works, right?
Works is a strong word, I think.
Hey,
We
Wait.
never scrimmed that. We actually did not. The conversation. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm
No,
going to
we
do
can
it
go, we can
anyway.
go.
It's been a fun cast. So the conversation was that we'd won the first game against Dig, and that secured us first seed. And then we thought, what would be better? Would it be better to close that 2-0 against Dig or beat them 2-0 with Kazembo?
That's twice we
And then
picked
we said
Kuzembo
we
and
weren't. We
SPL.
didn't say we were going to do it straight away, but we said if it looks like a good Kazembo game, which we have no idea what that looks like straight. Like we haven't played Kazembo, so we don't know what that looks like. But
There
then
was a circuit.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
reflect that's kind of good,
that's
right?
true. Yeah.
There was a Kukulkan. It was the dream Kuzenbo
Of course.
game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
well-
thought about that.
So we picked it and then twigged it top damage or something crazy, did a crazy turtle game, and then we never played it again.
The mid-mage killed himself with his Kukulkan ult. Like, I specifically remember that.
Yeah, and we
Twig-
never played it again.
I
Gosh,
don't-
God.
I don't
Because then,
know.
but we did it with Maniac as well in the summer split. We just played it. Oh, was it
It
spring?
was against Rival.
Yeah,
we,
against
we
it,
planned. We picked Odin with it. We planned to have the Titan and the Kappa have a fight in the Titan room,
Yeah,
but we never did
yeah.
it. We never did. I think he died before we went to end.
These are our crazy strats, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, your top team in Europe. This is a very interesting conversation with Ataraxi the Hunter and Hazer, coach for Obey, who have, interestingly enough, you guys are maybe not technically, but I think you guys are the #1 team in Europe, and you guys came out absolutely swinging this weekend. A lot of teams looked different, whether it was better or worse. You guys just seem to be very consistent coming into this LAN weekend.
Yeah, I think that's it's Prime and I, right? I would say we are the most consistent players in Smite. The most consistent players in Smite. You know, we've been here for a while, so being completely arrogant, we are kind of just the best, right? We're the baseline of what you want for a European hunter mid.
Sure. And then you've got the God-given talent in the jungle.
They just wish I was more like Barracuda. That's what Twig has been telling me all weekend. Why can't he be more like Barracuda?
Just more passive, or I'm going to get hit for that. I know I'm going to get hit for that one. But either way, really strong stuff as far as that last one is concerned. Elevate looking like one of the best teams here. What changed?
What changed that game, or what changed with Elevate in general?
Elevate turned it on this weekend.
I think I actually, at some point, I probably shouldn't say this, but I got a DM from Cherryo maybe 2 months ago or something saying, look, man, we're having kind of a rough time. What do you think we should do? Do you think we should be playing meta, or do you think we should stick to our own stuff? And obviously having scrimmed a lot and stuff, I was like, straight away, do your own thing. You're not better than other teams at their thing. You're better than other teams when you do your own thing. And I think that is the change that they've made. They've stopped trying to hang with the boys in the meta, and they've just done what works for them, and I think what works for them is a viable strat for any team.
I think that's the secret to Smite. There are so many viable gods at any point in time. I mean, realistically, when you think of the non-viable gods, AMC was at the top of that list up until like a month ago, right? 2 months ago. And then people were just like, well, we got a lot of pressure, and if he kills us, we'll just invade, so screw it, right? There's a lot of gods out there. I mean, you can even point to characters like, I mean, people are playing Chalk for some reason, right? Like, you can play virtually anything, and most of it, not Chalk, is going to wind up working. So if you have this oddball style, like the meta is so open these days. I mean, even you guys kind of vary from the norm.
Yeah, I think Elevate in particular, I think they're the team that's currently playing to their players better than any other squad in the world. I think, like, Cherryo, he's the Guardian, you know? Yep. Like, he's been a jungle player and a support player, and his best case as being jungle guardians. He wants to play that front line, he wants to be the setup man, and he does it perfectly. And I think that goes for every single person on that team. Like, Numbers he's a passive laner who comes up big in team fights, so they leave him alone, put him on Jing Shen, and he comes in that game and destroys every time. It's perfect, you know? Like, I've never seen a team stick to what their players are perfect at and make it work like Elevate have, and it's been amazing this LAN.
That's what's really impressed me is Trifecta haven't been able to find their stride, but they're a team that generally, plays to what their players do. And if you look historically at the teams that have been successful, I always point to the fact that it's always the teams that are either, you want to say, ahead of the meta or tend to themselves. You had the original championship of Cloud9, and I think they invented the normal meta, right? Just like that's how you play normal Smite, and we still cling on to that. But then when you look at the winners of the past two, obviously Energy, they a little bit different, but they lean on exactly what they want to play. They want to give Kenneth some crazy assassin, and they want to let Emilito do what he wants, and then Yaman shows up and plays Chiron or something weird, and they're just like, this is us, we're Energy. And you said it really best, you're not going to do other teams better. You're going to do what you do better than anybody else, and I think that's why Elevate has been so successful.
Absolutely.
So Elevate.